3 simple things that you guys can do today to help you with increasing your overall energy, vitality, and wellness. Number 1, move like a warrior, not a worker. What does this mean? What are the things when you look at the average worker, if you were just to look at their physical movements compared to somebody who's really more aligned with their passion? You'll notice one thing, with the exception of maybe like a personal trainer or someone who's doing movement as their job. Average worker sits, they slump, they stay in one position, whether they're a driver, they sit at a desk, right? We've all probably done many of these things. So make sure you guys are taking this into consideration no matter what you're doing. You want to incorporate more of that warrior natural instinct, that movement. So in the world of fitness, you see the natural movement becoming more kind of mainstream, just returning to these more animalistic styles of movement that incorporate your whole body. And just in general, like obviously you're using your body when you're working out, right? So think about that. Start your day with some primal movements, some push-ups, some intention even, some breathing exercises, some crunches, activate that core. Get up, do some stretches, some Tai Chi. We're going to give you lots of insights so that you can find what works good for you. And I want to go over techniques. I want to go over exercises. Today, though, I want you guys to walk away with that, getting the blood flowing, all right? That's going to be a major, major key to vitality. How do we keep the blood circulating in a healthy way? It's going to help you in every area of your life, not only at work, but with your lady, with your experience with just how you feel day to day, your ability to push yourself, exercise, and stay, really vital and resilient later on into your life, okay? 2, okay, nourish your system, do not numb your system, all right? This is a big one. And again, we're just going to touch on it today, but, you want to feel yourself well, right? So when we look at supplements, when we look at the world of, just how, nutrition plays a part, how your food choices play a part in how you feel and how you look, that's going to be a big one. The other side is almost more important, because we can go all over the sea moss, the ginseng, maca, all the supplements, all the, added nutrients that you can get through just incorporating things into your diet, whether it's healthy fats from, more avocado. If you eat meat, just healthier forms of meat, grass-fed, avoiding all the crap that gets contributed to your food in the process of, making it sort of like a product, right? Rather than what it is, which is something that is from the earth directly to nourish you in some way, shape, or form, should be respected as part of that cycle, right? But we have the opposite. Food is just, it's a product. It's been reduced to that in many ways, or shapes, or forms, so that actually the nutrition and the food quality gets drained. And we'll go deep into this as well. And then, you're left with your body obviously spending energy, not really getting much in return, going through digestion, going through the process of now having to remove toxins or pesticides or all that other crap, right? Fluoride through the drinking water. Things that, we've just become so ingrained to think of the world like this is just normal, right? Okay. So just remember that, feed your fire, eat like your ancestors. Eat to keep that blood healthy, clean, vital. And as far as, which side of the nutrition spectrum, right now, focus on whole foods, like I said, returning to nature. And I do want to dive into my experience on different sides and different sort of approaches to nutrition and kind of my story with all that. But I definitely am a proponent of, just being super, super conscious of the choices that you're making. So if you're eating meat, like I said, that's all about making the right choices with how that animal, was affected in its lifetime. Was it, you know, slaughtered in a way where it's like now all that adrenaline, all those, emotions that are present in the body and in the tissue of that animal are now present because of the way it was treated when the food actually comes to you. All right. So for some people, these are more esoteric ideas, but when we break down the science behind it, it'll make more sense, guys. All right. So just remember, especially with stuff like alcohol, tobacco, when we're talking about long-term longevity, vitality, you got to look in the mirror, make that hard decision if that's something that you've struggled with, particularly for a long time, and it would be a major catapult towards you getting, to where you want to be versus fighting yourself all the time to where you are. And I will talk about my personal, I guess, hack, you could say, to help quit nicotine if that's something that you're trying to do. And I think, everything in moderation, small amounts of anything is totally cool. But I think most of us in the modern culture have that more addictive, ADHD type personality, or if not, just, we've been trained on these short-term hits of pleasure, hits of dopamine, short-term addictions, right? So that's why some of this stuff becomes so hard to quit. But definitely, like, all the toxic crap, the vaping and stuff like that, which is really, really hard to do. Like, that was like massively challenging because it's so, it has this short-term, twitch in the brain, right? And particularly the vaping with the young kids, it's just so accessible. But I do not think that stuff is healthy long-term. Obviously, there's less testing on all that. So we'll talk about that in terms of your overall vitality. So remember, nourish your system, don't numb your system, okay? This is a huge one. We're going to go deep into all this stuff, like I said. But today, these 3 things will get your mind wrapped around, like, okay, how can I reorient my life? What are some of the big decisions I should make moving forward, especially if I want to consider into the long term? Okay, let's bring it home here. Number 3, breathe like a king. Okay, breathe like a king. Now, breathing is so important, right? And that's another big thing we're gonna talk about. But you have to learn to actually breathe, and you have to learn how to breathe, believe it or not, if you want to improve your breathing. And we're going to talk about different techniques. The basic one I want to leave you today is just practicing longer, slower, deeper breathing. Putting your hand even on your belly and feeling the air push and expand all the way down so that the diaphragm actually expands the belly now. And that's how you know the air is coming deep into your lungs. You're going to feel your ribs also open up, right? If you've ever done any form of singing, probably heard them talk about diaphragmatic breathing, or just in general, right? Sports, martial arts, all kinds of things. It's another way to actually help click into your recovery state, get out of fight or flight. We're going to talk about the vagus nerve and why using deep breathing, like, even in special forces, the Army, military, all this kind of stuff, right? You're going to be taught breathing techniques that the average person doesn't understand. We're going to talk about Wim Hof and obviously oxygenation of the blood, what that does, alkalinity versus acidity in the body. We'll talk in depth about that and how it actually works, because there are different parts of the body too. But the blood particular connection to like things like nutrition and the alkalinity versus acidity of your environment, of your nutrition, of the foods you're eating. So think about deeper breathing, slower breathing. You can do an exercise where it's just, starting with 4 deep breaths in, 1 or 2 deep breaths to hold, 4 count out, So 4 count in, 1 or 2 to hold, 4 count out. And then you can repeat that several times, practicing slowing down the breath breathing all the way into your belly, not so much in to your chest, because a lot of people do the shallow breathing and they get caught up here. But if you want to, really become more of your actual full self, your full potential, that's why I'm saying breathing is so powerful, guys. You have to really breathe into your body, your entire body. Again, just start with simple exercises, even just counting your breaths, getting aware, taking 4 slow breaths was the other one, and then holding the 4th or the 5th one, right? So that's the other exercise I want to give you guys today. So 4 nice, slow, long breaths in and out. This one you're going to hold and really push the air down, really feel the lower part of your lungs, hold that breath in, and then release, right? Don't make yourself pass out or anything. Again, this is, just simple things you can start to think about. Disclaimer, this is not, MD giving medical advice. Obviously, I'll put the just full disclaimer on the bottom. But guys, part of the reason why we've made it so complicated is simply that it's like being human is more simple than you think. But we've built this whole system around how to actually even, try. Think about it. You've lived your whole life. How often have you breathed, in different ways, or even challenge yourself to breathe differently? Like I said, if you're an athlete or a musician, singer, dancer, or somebody who, trained the body in various ways, you're gonna have some experience with this, right? But for other people, and just for most people, right, they've probably never challenged themselves in a variety of ways in terms of breathing, the breathing mechanism, yoga, all those aspects of how our body and breathing are intertwined, right? And we hold tension in our body, and that can affect our breathing. Excuse me. So as I want to wrap up for you guys right now, and just think about these 3 things, and remember, energy, it's not something that's like woo woo. It's not just hype. You can see it, you can feel it. It's a law of thermodynamics. You can see when people have this energy, right? But not only just a certain type of energy, they can kind of control their energy. They can put themselves in a more relaxed state. They can put themselves in a more excited state. And that's going to touch deeper into where we're going with some of these concepts, and some of what our breathing can help us do to move between those different, states, right? Harmonic states, when we look at music, has to do with this concept of harmonics and sympathetic frequency or sympathetic vibrations, similar to how tuning forks work. So, remember that mind, body, spirit alignment, and that alignment is going to help you bring that vitality. It's going to help you build that baseline to improve these aspects in all ways. So, we'll leave it at that today, guys. But remember, breathe like a king, nourish your system, move like a warrior. And those are just simple everyday things you can start to incorporate to help increase your overall inner energy, your inner vitality, your inner mindset, your inner strength, and also help you connect so that when you sort of hit a wall or you feel like this static frequency kind of clogging your brain, you can shut down and have this faith of like, I can allow my body to recover. I can allow my body to rest. Things are going to work out still in my favor. I'm going through a difficult challenge right now, but, hurdles help me to grow, help me to learn, make me stronger. So it is the yin and the yang. That's one of the themes we're going to come back to, is this, concept of how you can't outsmart nature. You can't really outdo that which is already greater, already done, already everything, right? So a little bit, again, esoteric there at the end, but these are some of the things I talk about in my book, guys, how we can use both the esoteric mind and the scientific mind to actually help us gain new insight and advance in our own lives, right? Because we're going to apply both principles, both lenses And, on one sense, it's like being able to look at the facts and understand the patterns and be realistic. On the other sense, it's being able to dream and to look beyond into your mind, into a vision, a visualization, and start to feel that feeling align and internalize, because it becomes a part of you. It's starting to feel like, oh, it's not in the future. The future is inside me, all time, all space, on a quantum level, is potential. So again, guys, a couple of things to think about today, right? Tapping into that quantum potential. And again, our three main things: we're moving like a warrior, nourish your system, breathing like a king. And we're going to talk about the omega creativity, the omega wholeness, right? The yin and the yang, same thing. The red and the blue shift, right? So the world is based on these polarities, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to utilize that to help us see the connections, help us to see the unification of those polarities, and how, by doing that within yourself, within your mind, within your left and right brain, within your being, it will help you become more grounded, but also have more potential to flow into your high, performing states of excellence, where you're aligning with like the things you have done in your life, the experience you have, and you're bringing that forth in a way where it's going to ripple out. It's going to impact someone else positively. Okay. So think about that stuff for today, guys. We're going to drop it off there and get into to more of this for sure down the road. Let me know your thoughts and if there's any questions that pop up, things that you want to go deeper on. And we're definitely going to, like I said, touch on a ton more information. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, share, follow along. Guys, we'll see you next time.